Welcome, Deb, to the show. We're so glad to have you this morning.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Yay!
Oh my gosh. I cannot wait for the audience to hear a little bit more about you. So I just want to start with tell us a little bit about yourself.
Becca, I'm 50, so we're gonna buckle up because I'm gonna do. I got this. 50 years and 3 to 5 minutes. I when I was in college when I was 19, I I really felt I'll call it a call. I felt called, and the call was to help people. That was so clear. I wanted to help people, and so I thought at the time that meant go to seminary, go serve churches, which at the time it did. And so I served two beautiful full-time churches after seminary. Also did some chaplaincy. So I was in the United Methodist Church and working in that direction. And I really loved it. I loved working with the people. The part that I loved was the conversations with individuals. But then what happened was the upheaval in the United Methodist Church with the LGBTQ plus issues. And I also unexpectedly got pregnant, and then I became not willing to move where the bishop put me. So those two things combined were enough for me to say, you know what, I don't think this is my path exactly. I'm still meant to help people, but not like this. So at 29, I left after having all that training. My 96 Master Divinity degree. I'm like, gosh, I hope I use this at some point later in my life. But yes, so then motherhood, then I focused on motherhood. So that was my 30s. I had a second child. And I really took time to learn what mothering meant and how I did that in a beautiful way, because that was
Yeah.
important to learn for me. Um, Also along that path of motherhood, I discovered that my child was gifted, and that journey eventually led to homeschooling, as school was not a good fit for her, and also for my son later as well. And that giftedness eventually moved us out to Reno, Nevada, where I live now, for the Davidson Academy. It's a gifted school. Here's connected with the University of Nevada, Reno. So that's how come we ended up in Nevada. And then shortly after we moved out here, my husband got ill, very ill, and he was very, very ill for 8 years. And that particular time of my life was super challenging because I still was in the process of raising kids, and um, there's 4.5 years between my kids. I was trying to homeschool my younger son and take care of an ill spouse and keep everything going, and my husband was not able to work. It was really hard. Um, I helped him get better. Uh, After the 8 years, I found a medication. I worked really hard to help him get the help he needed, and medication started to help. But as he got better, the marriage didn't sustain the getting better. So that broke apart after 25 years. That's a long time to be in a marriage, 25 years. Um, and that was also about the time COVID hit. So just longevity wise. So I started working at a funeral home as COVID hit. I really loved my job though. I loved working at the funeral home. That was a really, really good fit for me because I was using all the skills that I felt I do best. I'm super at organization. I'm super with people. Um, I'm really compassionate, and it's obviously tends to be one of the most difficult times in people's lives, and it means a lot to me to be able to help. That call was finally, I was like, oh, I get to do what I'm good at. So, however, at the funeral home, they decided that they were going to go with a different pre-need company, and I lost income. They couldn't sustain the income that they had promised me, at which point I could no longer pay my mortgage. So I started to think about, okay, what's next for me? So that was 50 years really fast.
Yes, well, and what a journey, what an incredible journey all the way through. And thank you for sharing because I know it sets us up beautifully for where you're at now and kind of the last few years for you in building your business. So tell us a little bit about the business, when the idea landed and just kind of all the good things.
So as it became clear I wasn't going to be able to stay at the funeral home, I really started to think about, okay, what's next? And at the time I had read Napoleon Hill, And one of the pieces in Napoleon Hill is imagination. And so I started to really work at, oh my gosh, what would be fun? Like what would I like to do? What do I love most? I love most helping people. So I really started to think about, how can I just take the piece that I love the most? I love the most helping people. How could I take that and make something amazing? So I thought about life coaching. I thought about, even though I have a 96, Master Divinity degree, that doesn't translate easily into psychotherapy. I looked at that, decided that wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I started to think too about the people that I was serving in the funeral home. So often people there really needed somebody further outside their circle of family or friends to hear them. And in the role as a funeral arranger, I could do that. But I also knew that when I was a caregiver, I needed that too. I really looked and wanted people to really, sometimes just some days were really hard and I needed somebody to just hear me. And so using my imagination, I came up with the idea one day, April 9th. I was, I was walking around in my house, April 9th, it's very memorable. And I was like, a listening service, a confidential listening service, Hold. Its name is Hold Hearing Out Life Drama. It was so powerful, it was so exciting, and it was just right there. It's a lot like J.K. Rowling, and as she talks about, Harry Potter strolling into her mind. Hold was like that for me. So it was really awesome. Even though I'm 50, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to start a business at 50. Am I nuts? I was like, yeah, I'm nuts, but that's okay. Because I want to do what I love, and I love helping people.
Yeah, well, I love the imagination piece of that. I've also read Napoleon Hill, and it's, as we get older, we kind of start to just kind of not be as imaginative and kind of just start to conform to what we think people want from us or what we think we need to do. So I think it's beautiful that even at age 50, which is super duper young, by the way, you've got so much life ahead of you, is an opportunity to really support and love these individuals who are going through some challenging times and listening. I think, again, the present day world and even just what we need as human beings to be heard, to be seen and heard, is such an important part of our sense of belonging. So to bring that into people, I think, is just a wonderful, wonderful business idea. So all right, so we've got the idea, it's landed, and now
Yep.
it's our time to be obedient. Uh,
Yep.
tell me tell me why this idea was so important to you, and really, who are you designed to serve with this business?
So my thought really was, when I started it, wanted so much to find the people that needed someone further outside their circle of family, friends, or coworkers. Somebody who, um sometimes family and friends are really great, but sometimes if you have something hard, they can get drawn in emotionally and not be able to hold their center to be able to really listen. And so I wanted Hold to be something that, a place where people could say whatever it is they need to say. I wanted everyone to feel welcome. So like I wanted everybody to really experience, and I'm saying everyone, and I know like that's not, you're a marketer and you're going to say avatar, avatar, avatar.
Niche down. No.
Niche down, niche down. But the fact is, the fact is, Hold is really designed to Mr. Rogers the world. That's what I want most of all. I want to give love to anybody who needs it. And so whoever that is, that's what it's designed for. As the business idea grew and evolved, I became pretty early on really clear that it needed to be built on three pillars. So we are a confidential listening service, and people can book time with us online, either 15, 30, or 45 minutes, and they can choose phone, chat, text chat, or Zoom, because we realize that people have different comfort levels
Mhm.
with being able to have a conversation. Some people need this face to face like we're doing, and some people feel a lot more comfortable if they can back away. Later on, about 3 months ago, I had the idea, oh, we should do VR. That'd be fun. And we actually looked into that a little bit. That has not yet come to fruition, but I still hope it will.
Yeah.
So that's a dream for later. But yes, so very exciting. That was the first pillar, is the organic bookings. So the phone, chat, Zoom, 30, 15, 30, or 45 minutes. And then the second piece of the business, is I realized that so many businesses right now are trying to figure out how in the world do I help my employees? How do I make them want to stay? How do I respect them and help them know they're heard? How do I figure this out? And I'm like, my business is really great for that. And so the second pillar of the business is our B2B concept. And so we offer a bulk discount for any business that if they would call me today, this is what we offer. They could get a discount for a bulk hours. We are currently developing, and I'm really excited because this idea just came to us about 2.5 weeks ago. We're creating an all access business plan, and that's going to include educational materials. And so I'm super excited about getting in and writing those materials. And so then it will be not only the listening hours that a business can purchase, but also that educational piece for managers and employees. The third pillar of the business is the pay it forward. And I love this because I think almost all of us have had a time in our life when we just had somebody hear us and we needed it. I mean, whether it was a stranger at the grocery store or whether it was our sister or whoever it was, somebody heard us when we really needed to be heard. And sometimes we want to pay that forward. I mean, there's people do that at the coffee shop all the time. So it's kindness beyond coffee. And I wanted to make sure that our business had that piece in our model as well, because we want to make sure that we help people no matter what. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love those pillars too so much, and especially the pay it forward, which I didn't know about. We didn't chat earlier, so it's nice to know that you can support someone and get them. Oh God, just I feel like the release when someone, I feel like when you share something that's so maybe personal or deep or hard, or sometimes just hard to say out loud, you don't want to say it to someone who's close to you for fear of judgment or possibly use against you at some point. Like there's a lot of trust in that to share something confidentially with someone
Mm-hmm.
you know can't take that as leverage if that's a fear that you have. If you do share your heart, I feel like it's such a powerful service in the world we're living in right now. So thank you for bringing that to us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited to do it. It feels so right. It feels so good.
Yeah.
So and honestly, if you talk to a whole listener, it's never going to come back up at your backyard barbecue or at your
Yes.
Thanksgiving dinner table. It's, that's what I love is we're further removed. So somebody can have the opportunity to, speak to somebody that's not going to be in their circle. That was for me when I was a caregiver, that was really important because, people would want to follow up with me, right? And say, oh,
Yeah.
how's it going now? How's it going now? And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you get several people asking you that, it gets exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that and yeah, the repetition of saying it over and over again, but then just being able to get it out of your body. And maybe that's all you need. Maybe you don't need the check-in or the advice or,
Mhm.
all of that comes with it. You just need to get it out of your body. And like, I know I've done this before, so I'm speaking from experience, like where you just feel lighter, like, okay, that's off. I'm done. I can move on to the next thing.
Exactly.
And yeah, so you share it with someone close to you. Sometimes they keep coming back to you with it. You're like, no, I'm done with that. Like, peace out. Like, I'm ready to move on.
Right?
So,
Right.
so
Yeah.
having a service like yours is really helpful for that situation. So great idea, beautiful pillars. How do you make it come to life? What is your next move here?
Well, if I can just jump into, I want to mention the distinction about we're not therapy. So, and
Yes.
we're also not a suicide hotline. So if that's what somebody needs, we really want to direct them to the right place. Therapy, if there's trauma in your life, that's different. We're for drama. So it's really, really different. Um, we really want people to get therapy who need it. That's one of the
Yes.
reasons why we can only take 6 appointments in a calendar year for any one person. That's key to our model and to what I really believe. The therapeutic alliance in therapy forms at around the 6th time, and so we're not trying to do that for anyone. So if somebody needs us more than 6 times, it's really kind of an indication, hey, maybe I do need a little bit more support than I was expecting. Maybe this is actually a bigger issue than I thought it was. And so maybe we're a stepping stone. Maybe somebody looks at therapy and goes, therapy, no, I got all this bad jojo, or I had a bad experience in therapy. Yeah, no. But
Yeah.
so we're not that. We're not that. But we're really clear we're not that.
Yeah. That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean that you were ready to
No,
move on, and I
I
wasn't.
well,
Sorry.
no, I love your distinction too, though, and I think that's maybe we chat about this. If it's not your tagline, maybe it should be like we're for the drama, not the trauma, or something like that, because they rhyme. And we think of dramas and like my kids will be like, "Oh, Karen, she's calling the manager," like some silly little line they've heard on some social media, I'm sure.
Yep.
But I think it makes it really clear, yes, that there is trauma where things that you need to handle with a therapist and some ongoing, help and support in that manner.
Mhm.
This is for the drama, that listening, someone to just hear you,
Yep.
to be able to move on, to move forward.
It's exactly what you're saying. If I can just get that out, and I'll be able to move on. It's for that thing, not
Hmm.
for the thing that you know that you're going to have to spend time untangling.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great way to put it too. Yeah, yeah. All right. So now, how'd you bring it come to life, or how'd you bring it to life?
So the first thing after I had the idea that I did is I was so excited. I was like reached out to my friend Linda, who I've known for, I think we figured up now it's been 12 years that we've known each other.
Oh, wow.
I think we finally did the math the other day. And so I knew her for 12 years, and she was one of the people when my ex was going through his illness. She didn't try to fix me. She would listen and not offer solutions. And that's such an important piece of listening. So many people mean well, but get tripped up with that piece because, and the reason is, I'll just share this because I think this is a real gift to listeners. Like, if you want to make your
Yes.
listening better, here's what happens. So somebody will go, yada, 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 and then they'll go, and I don't know what to do. And people think that the I don't know what to do means start problem solving, but that's
Yeah.
not actually what it means. And so I teach my listeners to make sure when somebody does that, that they ask, are you seeking advice right now? Are you ready to move into that problem solving mode? Or did you really just need to vent so you could move on? So that's a really, really key piece that is just critical to be a good listener.
Wow, that's a great point too. My daughter will ask me something, and this is kind of off topic, but it's around like the questions. So it's like asking permission. So she's like, "You do like this shirt?" And I'm like, "Do I have permission to be honest?" Because sometimes people are just seeking out the look, that shirt looks great. So again, it's like, are your listeners seeking out to be just heard, or are they seeking out to be told something, told some help, some feedback, some advice in this case? So asking that permission, I think, is beautiful for good
And
listening.
And if people want our advice, they must ask. That is it is a
Yeah,
core value of who and what we offer. If we actively listen, but we're not going to offer any solutions unless you specifically ask us ever.
I love that. Yes. So you and your business partner,
Linda.
Linda, are
Yes.
kicking this off. Tell
Yep.
us more about those early days of getting this thing rocking and rolling.
So it's
How'd you
super
chuckle?
fun. It's super fun. Linda's 10 years older than I am. I'm 50, she's 60. And I'm like, hey, Linda, you want to do this with me? And she's like, you're joking, right? I was like, no, I want to do this with you. Will you help me?
I love it. I love
And
it so
she's
much.
like, okay, sure. Yeah, I will. I'm in. I love your idea. I love this idea. It's she was super excited about it too. And so together we took that excitement. I was still working at the funeral home in the early days. So from April, when we first started, tossing around ideas, it was mostly weekends. And then sometimes if I had a lull, or a break or my lunch, she and I would, back and forth.
Love it. Yep.
And let's see, there was something that oh yeah, asking her to help me was really the key because getting through all of the stumbling blocks, one of the first things I struggled with was, oh my gosh, the business licenses. So there were forms to fill out, and the forms to fill out were a little too reminiscent for me and a little bit triggering of the Social Security disability forms, and I found myself starting to trip over that. So Linda supported me through all that, and we just took it. She's like, just break it down one little bit at a time, and getting the bank and just all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So after all of the, I always say that people go into business and it's all romantic because they're going to be able to do their service and all the thing. We don't think about all the administrative and all the actual technical elements that go into starting a business or in continuing a business for that matter. So
Right.
once you got through all that and stuff,
Hmm.
um, tell us a little bit about when you officially launched it. So I know you kind of birthed, or this idea kind of got planted in your brain on, it was April 9th, 2021. And so here we are just a few months later, and you're bringing it to life. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
So Linda and I started to develop the website in Wix. We thought, oh well, we're smart people. We'll be able to figure this out ourselves. And then realized, nope.
Dang it,
Nope.
websites are hard. Yeah.
Actually, no. Actually, no. And so we invited another friend of ours into that. And so launch day was July 1st. And I decided I left my job at the funeral home July 9th. And I was like, we're all in. And what I thought launch day was like, okay, we've got the website now. We're ready to take appointments. Linda was going to take the first ones if we needed to, while I was at work, if that happened. And if not, then, either way. We thought all we needed to do was put a social media post out there. Hey, we have a business. We're here. Tell your friends. And that was all we needed to do. I was a little naive. And that flopped. And that really, really flopped. So July 9th, I left my job. I was like, oh, I'm so excited to do this. And I was expecting, appointments to come in, but at the same time, I was also learning about business, because I was like, I don't really know that much about business. Actually, I know nothing about business other than what I learned in seminary about leading a church, and that's not that much. So
Yeah. So launch day, launch week didn't quite go as planned.
oh no.
How
No.
did you overcome any self-doubt? Or because I know for me personally, when things don't go as planned or I have a vision and it flops entirely, I go into somewhat of a spiral of, oh my gosh, was it a good idea? Am I good enough? Is it me? I somewhat take it personally. I take a hit back on my old belief that I'm not smart enough. Like, how did you overcome any of those initial self-doubt or thoughts and get over that hump?
For me, it was really starting to plug into and realize there was help out there. And so I got a SCORE mentor, and she said to me, this is a really great idea, but you got to realize this could take up to a year to build. And she said
Mm,
that to me probably late July, early August. And it was the best timing and the best thing she possibly could have said to me, because I had no idea it could take that long. I really was expecting it to just happen.
yeah.
And I'm not saying it couldn't. I think for some people it does, but my journey's been this, and that's okay. I'm getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready, as Abraham Hicks says.
Yes.
to be
Amen.
I'm all in. So and I think that's part of it too, is I was all in from the beginning. I
Yeah.
have believed in this, and every time I talk about the business to somebody, they're like, wow, that's a really great idea, and I could have used you at this point. So now I think it's just a matter of, getting enough people to understand and know this is available to them. And so one of the things, my marketing mentor, I found her in August. She also was extremely helpful, because I knew nothing about marketing, and I went and looked for her after I started reading marketing articles, and I had to Google the vocabulary in the articles, because I did not know what ROI stood for. I did not know what cost per click.
Yeah.
I mean, there were all these abbreviations and all of these things. I was like, I have no idea what this means or what they're talking about. And I'm Googling to Google the article, and Houston, we had a problem. So I realized I needed help. But the beautiful
Yeah.
thing is there is help out there. That's what if anybody's listening right now who's starting a business, there's help out there. You just got to go find it and be open to it, and be ready to receive it. Like I was ready. I'm like, I want help with this. And know you can learn. You know, I you can learn anything you need to know. You can learn. And so yeah,
Yes.
I flopped, and that's okay. But I learned what I needed to do. So I learned. So networking is a whole other piece, right? Like
Yes.
learning to network. Like you actually got to learn how to network, because there's a right way and a wrong way. And prospecting is not networking. And what the heck's prospecting, and what does that mean? So Linda and I both have learned so much over the last year. It's phenomenal. My brain's so happy.
I love it. I love stories like this too, because I know for myself personally again, but I also know in other people that becoming or being a beginner again is like can be really hard when you've done something long enough or you've kind of mastered, if you will, a skill set or in a career and you shift, you change. and you're now at the bottom, and you're like beginning to just kind of learn all the things, it can be really challenging. So I really congratulate you and Linda both, first of all, for taking that challenge head on and for learning the skills. You're right. There's so much available to us for free on the internet or for
Mhm.
these kind of quick workshops where you can get so much value. So you just have to be open and willing to do a little work,
Yep.
put yourself out there,
Mhm.
network as well, get
Yep.
yourself known, heard, seen, all
Yep.
those good things. So I love
Yeah.
it. I love the lessons you've learned and how you're bringing those into your business now, even a year later, to just really see it flourish. So um,
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about Linda too, because she's a pretty integral part of this whole process and just getting started. A lot of people out there when they're opening up a business for the first time, either they're self-funding or sometimes they can go out, raise capital or do things, go to the bank. But sometimes they're like, well, maybe I have a business partner. Maybe that's the path I should take to build this thing. So tell us a little bit about how you knew Linda would be a good partner for your business venture.
Well, to start with, I mentioned I'd known her for 12 years. So that was a really strong, solid relationship. I really knew who Linda was and what her values were. And I knew that she and I believed very similarly. And so that part, it was in alignment for us. Um, I think too, the other piece, um, that I knew, Linda was really clear that she didn't want to invest any in the business financially. She's married and she wants to keep her marriage, and I support that 100%. And she knew that if she did that, financially, that was going to be a non-starter for her marriage, and I respected that. I'm like, listen, I'm willing to bear the brunt of this 100%. So I am 100% owner,
Okay.
and we have an agreement, moving forward, how that looks, for the two of us, that we planned out, and we know what that is between us. um so many people, business people, don't like how Linda and I have our formed our partnership. They say it's all wrong.
Ah,
And
well, who's to say it's wrong if it fits and works for you too? So
well, that's what I decided. That's what I decided, Becca. I was like, well, okay, so I understand that if you didn't have this kind of really solid relation, I get their point. Like, if you
yeah,
don't have the kind of solid relationship that Linda and I have, if there's not trust already there, don't do that.
yeah.
I think that's really powerful, and that's worth taking note of. But Linda and I do have this trust, and so it does work for us. But I agree that for just anybody, um, follow the other business people.
Take that advice, other advice.
Yeah.
No, I like that too. And I think, whether it's trust with a partner or trust with employees, there's always a little bit of, even with my teenagers, I'm like, this is a trust fall. I was like, I trust that you're going to say what
Mhm.
you're going to do,
Yeah.
and I know that's not apples to apples necessarily, but it is,
Mhm.
there's that trust still there to follow through with the things we say we're going to do
Mhm.
and work together on building this thing. So, um, I am really curious as I've been learning more about you over the last few months now, and just listening about your journey here at the business. I want to know what a day in the life of Deb looks like. I really do. Can you walk us through what your days are? And I know there can be ever changing, so you can just tell us one from recently if you want.
Yeah, it varies a little bit. So the alarm goes off early and I meditate for 15 minutes. I have a fan noise. I put the fan noise on. I go to the bathroom, I put the fan noise on, and then the alarm goes off again at 6:15 a.m. my time, and I call my mom, and we have typically, uh, usually about a 15-minute conversation. And then after that, I'll take a shower, eat breakfast, and then by that time I'm into my day. So by 7:30 I'm all in. Then I'm, checking email and looking, do we have appointments today, and what appointments are those, and making sure we have coverage everywhere. um the networking piece right now is really important to me, so I'm spending a lot of time making those connections and meeting people one to one and trying to support other businesses. Our business boost Friday post, we've been doing that a lot too, and so I'm really excited that content wise we can, feature other businesses. So making those connections, that
Yeah,
doesn't happen every day, but that's, if I just give you a day, I'm doing that probably.
yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you have other people? You mentioned other people who are taking calls. Have you built a team already of people who are working behind you and supporting the business?
So besides Linda, Linda decided early on, well, not early on, it was January. I said to her, I said, Linda, is there anything we're doing that's making you uncomfortable? Because we've been at this a while, right? It's from April
Mhm.
to January. I'm like, we've been through the honeymoon phase now. Tell me what's it like for you? And she's like, I'm not really sure I want to listen. She's like, I really love doing the content creation. And I was like, that's fine. So at that point, I really shifted, and brought Sarah on board because she is an exceptional listener, and went through some training with her to get her up to speed. She's younger, but she has a huge heart.
Mhm.
I feel like, I don't know about how it was for you, Becca, but when I was in my 20s and 30s, people would go, "Oh, you're too young. You're too, you don't know." But the fact is, 20 and 30-year-olds can know a lot, and
Mhm.
they can be really powerful and really compassionate. And Sarah is one of these people. She's highly gifted, and she's really amazing. So I'm so happy that she wanted to be a part of Hold. And when she heard what I was doing, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I want to do that. Can I
Aw.
do that with you?" So it took a little while, but now we're there. So she's on the team, and I'm also starting to very slowly bring on Claire, and teach her some things to get her ready to listen as well. So
That's incredible. So it's funny. We chatted in our prelim call about how Linda likes to do the social media, and we mentioned some TikToks and fun videos. And you reminded me again, she's 60, and I'm like, oh, I'm all here for it. So I love
so
that she's for content.
she is. It was so funny. So when we started, we're like, okay, we're gonna post on Facebook one time a week. That's what we can handle. And it's so funny because what we do now is we do social posts twice a day, and they're both reels. And Linda creates pretty much most of it. We spitball content once a week. If it's Tuesday, we're gonna spitball content. That's later today. And I said, Linda, I think we need to do TikTok. And she's like, no, you can do that. That's what she told me at first. I'm like, okay. I was like, and that's kind of how it is for Linda a lot of times. You just got to introduce the idea and then just kind of let it ride a little bit and say, oh, well, you want to look at this with me? And then she'll start looking at it with me, and then she'll get curious. That's
Hmm.
the beautiful thing about Linda, is she is the most curious person. She paints, she's written books, she's just this amazing person. um,
That's incredible. Yeah. Well, and it goes back to being that beginner again. And in
yeah.
business, you have to always remember, like, I feel like yesterday I was learning to do something for the first time. I made a note of it because I was like, I've never done this before. And I was up, I usually don't work in the evenings, but I was up until about 10:30 last night trying to tackle this thing. And, I went to bed thinking, wow, like I didn't know how to do that. And now I do.
Mhm.
I might, and I'm not super awesome at it yet, but I can get better. And
Yeah.
I think again, to be curious and to remind ourselves to kind of keep that beginner mindset in business is really, really important. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be 20 or 50 when you start. You just have to always explore your curiosity and wanting to learn more. I think those are the business owners that can do that
Mhm.
are the ones that make it, because they're the ones that don't get content or don't get stagnant in what they do or what they're serving, what their services are. They continue to grow and expand. That is so, so
Imagination
important.
and curiosity.
Yes.
Exactly. Hmm.
100%.
Hmm.
Um, so having started this business just over a year ago now and ventured, through, I'm sure lots of highs and lows, can you share 3 tips for our audience if they're considering opening a business, or just some things that you've learned that you would like to glean some wisdom towards?
Yeah, I just want to reinforce, because I really had no idea that business owners who were out there were as kind and ready and willing to help as they
Mhm.
are. There is so much help out there from people that you just wouldn't expect. Everybody's ready to say, "Oh, how can I help?"
Yeah.
It's really true, and I don't know. I just wasn't expecting that. Um, I grew up in a smaller town, and my dad was a business owner, and I saw him helping in different ways, but there just weren't a whole lot of new businesses opening. So maybe he just didn't have the opportunity in that small
Yeah.
town to do that. Maybe he would have done. I don't know. But I do know that that's there. So I would say there is help, and I would say that the second thing is really that you can learn. That's you can.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So, uh, let us know here, if you could start a business tomorrow,
Ooh.
what would that business be?
So I have another dream. When I let myself imagine, one of the things that um, people would say to me when I was a caregiver was, Deb, you need some time away. You need a respite. And while that was true, I could not figure out how to make that happen. So it does no good to tell somebody you need a break if you can't help them figure out the how. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't give them solid pieces of, okay, I'll take your kids, I'll do this for you, these are the meals that'll be in the freezer. If you're not able to give those concrete things, it's just because I just couldn't figure out the how of it. So what I want to do, my business. So here's my idea. I really want, and if hold grows and amazing, I'm going to fund this, and that's going to be amazing. So I don't want to have to run it all and do it all the business things I'm doing for hold, but I want to be involved. So the business idea is I want to have a respite center, and it's this amazing, beautiful place that's very large, that's got recreation and a pool, and it's just this gorgeous space. And there's trained hold listeners if people want to talk, and if they don't, that's fine too. um, and they can go there. It's in an area where there are fun things in the community that they can go out and do. And this respite place is not just for people, not just for younger caregivers, not for older caregivers. It's for moms who have autistic kids, who it's for everybody. I've got friends who respite's not just, respite's not just for a certain kind of person. We can
Yeah.
all dry up and dry out, and we need to make sure we replenish. And so I really want to make a place that is whatever kind of caregiving, in whatever way. Doesn't have to be Alzheimer's, doesn't have to be a genetic condition, which is what my ex had, doesn't have to be any specific thing, but it's a place of respite. That's my dream.
You have multiple locations, so I have one nearby. Please.
Oh, it just
No.
got bigger, Becca. It just
You know, like
got
franchise this sucker. I need like, oh, I need more than one location. Granted,
I think it needs to be a nonprofit. I'm not sure. Getting there is
yeah,
a key piece, because how when somebody needs respite and they're like, oh my gosh, how do I get from here to there,
yeah.
and even paying for travel. So yeah, that part is a really, really big dream that I don't know how all of that looks yet. I hope I live long enough to make that happen though.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. It's yeah, very necessary, very beautiful like concept around serving and helping. I love the idea of mothers too. It's because to your point, it doesn't have to be something so, big or grand that's happening. It can be just simple day-to-day life things that just drain you and you just need a few days to recover. Because when we do that, we're only better, to serve our families, our husbands, our friends, whoever, our coworkers,
Absolutely.
whatever our
Partners, yeah,
teams.
exactly.
So we need to fuel our cup too. So
And kind of what I dream is the people that aren't in that desperate scenario, but just need a little bit of time away. Maybe they can pay a little bit, and
yeah.
maybe that the people that can pay a little bit, maybe they help support those that really can't pay at all. Um,
Yeah.
that's big dreams.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll
I
see.
love big dreams. It's part of my training. I did a mastermind yesterday, and one of my, three things, one of the three things was to take time every day to create. To take, I like to set 30 minutes if I can, but sometimes it's only, 10, 15 minutes, but just to go and open that notebook with all the big dreams and goals and just to read and journal and write and kind of just go into that space and that energy. Because no matter what you do next, you're bringing all of that with you, and it's so taking time to create and imagine, and that's exactly what you're doing here. So I love it. I love it. Your face is like beaming, so I just love it.
Love it.
Okay, so we're wrapping up. I never love when these end. It's like it's always so sad to me. But because I love to read, I would love to get your top three book recommendations for our audience. If you have any to share that have made an impact for you or just helped you in any way.
I would say, if you haven't read Nonviolent Communication, that's a great book. It's got really practical tips, really simple things that if you're struggling to listen, that's a great place to start. If you're struggling to communicate, if you're trying to figure out a way in, that read that. That's good. And my second one is Women Who Run with the Wolves. This book is not simple and easy. This book is hard. I read it I read it for the first time in my 20s. It's a book that I go back to over and over again. I don't typically
Mhm.
go back to books, but mine is marked up and pages turned. And in fact, I created some content on social media about it because it's such a good book. I
Awesome.
love it. So Women Who Run with the Wolves. And the last book I will recommend is What Happened to You. And that is really a book that is about trauma. But there's so much in there. The diagrams that it's written by Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Perry.
Okay.
And it's just really, really good um, in terms of understanding how the brain is impacted in uh, when we get spinning out of control, when we're emotionally dysregulated, when that happens, exactly what happens in the brain, and the importance then of being able to get shifted around so that you get back on solid ground. Because if you're not regulated, nothing good's going to come of it.
Mm,
So if I have a call with somebody and they're starting from tears, that's the very first thing we have to get. That's We hold space with that until someone's regulated, because the brain can't do anything else
yeah.
until that's sorted.
Oh, that sounds like a great book.
Hmm.
Great book. Thank you for those three. Those are great. Those will be in the show notes for everyone to grab and learn a little bit more about if they like to. And lastly, but not least, how can my audience find you online?
Oh, uh, our website is www.hearingoutLifeDrama.com. So hearingoutLifeDrama.com. And then we're on all the social media. We're at Hearing Out Life Drama on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And we're Hold Listener on YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, and Pinterest. all,
Perfect. You're
all the things.
everywhere. I love
Yeah, we,
it.
we really are. We're doing all the things.
Yes,
I think we're getting different touches from people. So, some people
yes,
aren't, people like different stuff. People like different platforms. So we're
I
just
do.
trying to be every place. And yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you, Deb, so much for
Oh, Becca, thank you.
sharing. This was wonderful. I hope, I know I brought some things out of this show. And again, I just love hearing more about you and your story. And I love
Oh,
you.
that I love you too, Becca.
Hmm,
Oh,
thank you.
I feel like it was a real Mr. Rogers moment right there. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
I agree. I
And I
agree.
have the same kind of sadness as when he started taking off his shoes.
I know.
Now it's ending. Okay.
Yes, it's ending, but it's not over for forever.
For
So
sure. For
thank
sure.
you again, Deb.
Take care.